Welcome to all. I am N. Sri Ramalinga Ganesha Perumal, working as an assistant professor in EC Department, Government College of Engineering, Srirangam, Trichy. Video lecture series for forthcoming semester. Subject code is EC8393. Subject name is Fundamentals of Data Structures in C. In this subject, I am going to discuss about the topics on arrays and strings in C programming. First of all, I am going to discuss about arrays in C. Arrays in C programming. Just a small intro about arrays. The variables used so far had a common characteristic. Each variable can only store one value of the declared data type. These type of variables are called scalar variables. A scalar variable is a single variable whose stored value is an atomic type. This means that the value cannot be further subdivided or separated into a legitimate data type. In contrast to atomic types such as integer, floating point and double precision data, there are aggregate types. An aggregate type, which is referred to as both a structure type and a data structure, whose values can be decomposed and are related by some defined structure. Such a derived data type is an array. What is the need for an array? Suppose a program that can print its input in reverse order. If there are two values means this is easy. If there are three values, this is still relatively easy. But if there are 10 or 20 or 100 values, then it is not easy. Here the solution works only if the number of inputs exactly matches with those expected by the user. To solve this problem, an array is required. It is a collection of numbered elements. An array is a fundamental data structure that enables the storing and manipulation of potentially huge quantities of data. It stores an ordered sequence of homogeneous values. Homogeneity means all the values are of the same type, so that an array can be defined as a data structure consisting of an ordered set of data values of the homogeneous type. It is a collection of individual data elements. That is, the first one is ordered. One can count of the elements, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Second one is in fixed in size. Third one is an homogeneous, that is all elements have to be of the same type. Example, integer or float or character. In C, each array has two fundamental properties, the element type and the size. The individual array elements are identified by an integer index. In C, the index begins at 0 and is always written inside square brackets. The contents of this video lecture includes definition of an array, declaration of an array, and the types of an array. It includes one-dimensional array and two-dimensional array. Definition of an array. That is, an array is a collection of individual data elements that is ordered, fixed in size, and of homogeneous data type. When defining an array in a program, three things need to be specified. First one is the type of data it can hold, that is integer, character, double or float. The next one is the number of values it can hold, that is the maximum number of elements it can hold. The third one is a name. Declaration of an array. This is a syntax, that is data type, array name. Within the square brackets, you have to mention the size. For example, I am mentioning float is the data type, the array name is A, the size is 10. How to represent an array? The first example is float A of 10. So the total array size is 10, that is from A of 0 to A of 9. Here A of 0 to A of 9 are indices. A of 0 is the first index and A of 9 is the ninth index. That is A of 0 is the lower bound and A of 9 is an upper bound. The next one is the types of array. It includes one-dimensional array and two-dimensional array. One-dimensional array. Here the array is one-dimensional. It has a single subscript or index whose value refers to an individual array element which ranges from 0 to n minus 1. N denotes the total number of elements in an array. Declaration of one-dimensional array. To use an array variable in a program, it must be declared. When defining an array in a program, the same three things need to be specified. First one is the kind of data it can hold. The second one is how many values it can hold. The third one is the name. A one-dimensional array declaration is a data type followed by an identifier with a bracketed constant integral expression. The value of the expression, which must be positive, is the size of the array. It specifies the number of elements in the array. The array subscripts can range from 0 to size minus 1. The lower bound of the array subscripts is 0, the upper bound is size minus 1. Declaration of one-dimensional array. The syntax is data type, array name, within the square bracket, size has to be mentioned. For example, integer A of 100. This reserves space for 100 integers. Here, this is a sample program for one-dimensional array. That is, define a symbolic constant for the size of the array. It is sometimes convenient to define an array size in terms of a symbolic constant rather than a fixed integer quantity. This makes it easier to modify a program that utilizes an array. Since all references to the maximum array size can be altered by simply changing the value of the symbolic constant. Here the symbolic constant n is assigned with the value 100. Then the n is replaced with the assigned value 100. It is a good programming practice to define the size of an array as a symbolic. Automatic sizing of one-dimensional array. While initializing, the size of a one-dimensional array can be omitted as shown in the below example. Integer array, there is no size to be mentioned, is equal to within the square brackets 31579. There are 5 elements. Here the C compiler will deduce the size of the array from the initialization statement. From the above initialization statement, the size of the array is deduced to be 5. Accessing one-dimensional array elements. For initializing an individual array element, a particular array index has to be used. Here, the sample program for initialization of all of the elements of the sample array to 0. This would cause all the elements of the array to be set to 0. Because here A of I is equal to 0 in this for loop. Here is another sample program for accessing the array elements. First we define the header file, then we defined the symbolic constant, that is the array size is 10. In this for loop, the index is 0. When the index is less than array size, it is nothing but 10. In this first iteration, 0 is less than 10. So A of 0 is 0. Then the second iteration, A of 1 is less than, that is 0, 1 is less than 10. Then A of 1 is 0. In that sequence, the loop will incremented. Then up to A of 9, the value will be 0. That is from A of 0 to A of 9, the value is 0. That is from lower bound to upper bound, the value is 0. The next one is the storing values given by the user in an array. Here, reading the input into the array is shown. First, we declare an array with 10 integer elements. The idea is that first a value must be read and copied into A of 0, then another value read and copied into A of 1, and so on until all the input values have been read. The next is printing an array. The following code segment prints the elements of an array. Next is the internal representation of arrays in C. A simple variable of any data type x, the compiler allocates the size of x bytes to hold it. For an array length of L and data type x, the compiler allocates L star the size of x bytes. Variable length arrays under the C99 compilers. In earlier version of C89 compilers, an array size must be a constant integral expression so that it can be calculated at compile time, and each element needs to be initialized in order from the beginning. But in case of C99 compilers, the array size can be an integral expression or not necessarily a constant one. This allows the programmer to declare a variable length array or an array whose size is determined at runtime. The element number of an array can be specified explicitly by using a format called a specification initializer. In C99, the initial values can be set only for specific members, with uninitialized members being initialized as 0. This is useful when the elements requiring initialization are limited or when arrays have large element counts. This example will introduce another application of the array. The program prints out an array of Fibonacci numbers. These are defined by a series in which any element is the sum of the previous two elements. This program stores a series in an array and after calculating the terms prints the number out as a table. Here I am going to discuss about one-dimensional arrays using strings. Strings in C are represented by the array of characters. The end of the string is marked with a special character, that is a null character. It is a character all of whose bits are 0, that is null. The null or string terminating character is represented by another character. It is nothing but the escape sequence, that is /0, which is the representation for null character. C does not have a string data type. It allows string constants. Declaration of a string. The strings can be declared like one-dimensional arrays. For example, the character string of 9, which is equal to, within double quotes, I like C is mentioned, which is same as, we can also be mentioned, that is character string of 9, which is equal to, within square brackets, within single quotes, I, comma, the space character is to be mentioned within single quotes, comma, then L, then I, then K, then E, then one space, then C, then which is terminated by a null character. Then close the square brackets. Sorry, close the parenthesis. Whenever a string enclosed in double quotes is written, C automatically creates an array of characters containing that string, which is terminated by the null character. The next one is the printing strings. This conversion type S is used for output of strings using printf statement. Width and the precision specifications may be used with %S conversion specifier. The width specifies the minimum output field width. If the string is shorter, then space padding is generated. The precision specifies the maximum number of characters to be displayed. The string is too long, then remaining are truncated. Example, printf of within double quotes percentage 7.3s close the double quotes comma name. This specifies that only the first three characters have to be printed in a total field width of 7 characters and the right justified in the allocated width by default. We can include a minus sign to make it left justified, that is percentage minus 7.3. Then when the field width is less than the length of the string, the entire string is printed. The integer value on the right hand side of the decimal point specifies the number of characters to be printed. Then when the number of characters to be printed is specified as 0, nothing is printed. The minus sign in the specification causes the string to be printed as left justified. The library function sPrintf function is similar to ordinary printf function. The only difference is that the formatted output is written to a memory area rather than directly to a standard output. It is particularly useful in construct formatted strings in memory for subsequent transmission over a communication channel or to a special device. Its relationship with printf statement is similar to the relationship between scanf and scanf function. The library function putSof may be used to copy a string to the standard output. Its single parameter is the start address of the string. It writes a new line character to standard output after it has written the string. The following program illustrates the use of %S conversion specifier. Here in this program, the first output is the normal string output. The second one is the output causes the string to be printed as right justified. The third output is left justified. The fourth output is the first 4 characters printed on the screen. And the fifth output is the first 4 characters are printed and it is left justified. The sixth output is the first 4 characters are printed and it is right justified. The next one is a string input. That is using %S control string with scanf function. Strings may be read using the %S conversion with the function of scanf statement. But it has some restrictions. The first is that the scanf function will only recognize a sequence of characters delimited by whitespace characters as an external string. The second one is that it is the programmer's responsibility to ensure that there is enough space to receive and store the incoming string along with the terminating null, which is automatically generated and stored by scanf function as a part of %S conversion. The associated parameter in the value list must be the address of the first location in an area of memory set aside to store the incoming string. Of course, a field width may be specified and this is the maximum number of characters that are read in, but remember that any extra characters are left unconsumed in the input buffer. Here is a simple use of scanf function with %S conversion is illustrated here. In the printf statement, it prints the first D characters of the string in the field width of W. Scanset is another method for taking the input from the user. The Scanset conversion facility provided by scanf function is a useful string input method. This conversion facility allows the programmer to specify the set of characters that are acceptable as a part of the string. The scanset conversion consists of a list of acceptable characters enclosed within square brackets. A range of characters may be specified using notations such as within single quotes a-z, meaning the all characters within this range. The actual interpretation of a range in this method is implementation specific. That is, it depends on the particular character set being used on the host computer. If an actual hyphen within single quotes is required in the scan set, it must be the first or last character in the set. If the first character after the square brackets within single quotes is a cap symbol within single quotes character, then rest of the scan set specifies unacceptable characters rather than acceptable characters. This program shows the use of scan set. Note that in all cases, the conversion is terminated by the input of something other than a space or lowercase letter. The circumflex, that is a cap symbol, plays an important role while taking in. This program shows the single line input using scanset with circumflex, that is a cap symbol character. For a single line text input, the user presses the return key or enter key to terminate the string. The maximum number of characters typed by the user might be 80. Because the screen can print a maximum of 80 characters, all characters are allowed to be typed as the input except new line. The computer takes this new line as a clue indicating that the string has ended. The next one is a multi-line input using scanset. One can use a bracketed string read, that is percentage within square brackets, where the square brackets are used to enclose all characters which are permissible in the input. If any character other than those listed within the brackets occurs in the input string, further reading is terminated. Reciprocally, those characters may be specified with the brackets which, if found in the input, will cause further reading of the string to be terminated. Such input terminators must be preceded by the caret symbol or the circumflex symbol. If the input for the string consists of embedded spaces, no matter what, they will all be accepted by the scanf function, and the reading will stop when a tilde symbol is entered. This is illustrated in this program. This is another method for taking the input from the user. The best approach to string input is to use a library function called getSof. This function takes the start address of an area of memory suitable to hold the input as a single parameter. The complete input line is read-in and stored in the memory area as a null terminated string. It is illustrated in the following program. Note that this function can be implemented using getChar function or scanf function with %c conversion specifier using scanf function. There are a variety of library functions for handling the input data that has been read in using getSof function. The most useful include scanf function and the function atoa function. The function scanf applies scanf type conversions to data held in a program buffer as a single string rather than to data read from the standard input. The atoa function converts a character string from external decimal form to internal binary form. The next one is a string input and output using fscanf function and fprintf function. standard in, standard out, and standard error. Each C program has three input-output streams. The input stream is called standard input, that is stdin. The usual output stream is called standard output, that is stdout, and the side stream of output characters for errors is called standard error, that is stderr. Internally, they occupy file descriptors 0, 1, and 2 respectively. Now one might think that the calls to fprintf function and fscanf function differ significantly from calls to printf function and a normal scanf function. Fprintf function sends formatted output to a stream, and fscanf scans and formats input from a stream. This is illustrated in this example. The next one is a character manipulation in the string. The table lists the character handling functions of the header file. Notice that except for the t upper and the t lower functions, all these functions return values indicating true or false. It may be recalled that in C, the true is any non-zero number and false is 0. The character is seemingly typed as an integer in this function. This is because the character functions are really looking at the ASCII values of the characters, which are integers. The next one is in string manipulation. C has the weakest character string capability of any general purpose programming language. Strictly speaking, there are no character strings in C, just arrays of single characters that are really small integers. If S1 and S2 are such strings, a program cannot assign one to the other, that is S1 equals S2. Then compare them for collating sequence, that is S1 less than S2, and concatenate them to form a single longer string S1 plus S2, then return a string as a result of a function. A set of standard C library functions that are contained in string.h header file provides limited support for the first three. By convention, the end of a string is delimited by the non-printable null character, that is a 0 value, but there is no indication of the amount of memory allocated. Consequently, both user code and standard library functions can overwrite memory outside the space allocated for the array of characters. The string header string.h provides many functions useful for manipulating strings or character arrays, such as string copy, string concatenation, string length, string compare, then occurrence. Here the string length function is particularly straightforward. Its single parameter is the address of the start of the string, and its value is the number of characters in the string excluding the terminating null character. To demonstrate the use of string length function, here is a simple program that reads in a string and prints it out reversed. The repeated operation of this program is terminated by the user by entering a string of length 0, that is by hitting the return key immediately after the program prompt. The program operates by printing the characters one by one, starting with the last non-null character of the string. Notice that the len will have been decremented before the output of the character. This is correct since the length returned by string length of function is the length excluding the null character, but the actual characters are aggregate members, that is from 0 to length minus 1. The output of this program for different sample runs are illustrated here. The next topic is multidimensional arrays. The arrays with more than one dimension are called multidimensional arrays. Although humans cannot easily visualize objects with more than 3 dimensions, representing multidimensional arrays presents no problem to our computers. Then the declaration of a two-dimensional array. The syntax is data type array name within square bracket size 1 within square bracket size 2. Here the data type is the name of some type of data such as integer or character or float. Also the size 1 and the size 2 are the sizes of the array's first and second dimensions respectively. Here is an example of defining the 8 by 8 array of integers similar to a chessboard. Remember, because C arrays are 0 based, the indices on each side of the chessboard array run from 0 through 7 rather than 1 through 8. Then the declaration of a three-dimensional array. A three-dimensional array such as a cube can be declared as follows. The syntax is variable type array name within square bracket size 1, size 2 and size 3. Arrays do not have to be shaped like squares and cubes. Each dimension of the array can be given a different size as follows. The integer non-cube sizes, size 1 is 2, size 2 is 6 and the size 3 is 8. The three-dimensional arrays and higher are stored in the same basic way as are the two-dimensional ones. They are kept in computer memory as a linear sequence of variables, and the last index is always the one that varies the fastest. The next two last, and so on. A multidimensional array is an array with more than one level or dimension. The number of subscripts determines the dimensionality of an array. For example, x of 5 refers to an element of a one-dimensional array x. Similarly, y of I j refers to an element of two-dimensional array y, and so on. Multidimensional arrays are initialized in the same way as a single-dimensional arrays. For example, a 2D array, the two-dimensional array is an array of arrays, meaning it is a matrix of rows and columns. Think of a table. A 3D array adds another dimension, turning into an array of arrays of arrays. Multidimensional arrays are initialized in the same way as single-dimensional arrays, as I have mentioned earlier. For example, the integer b, the size 1 is 3, size 2 is 5. That is, it contains 3 rows and 5 columns. The initialization can also be represented by this way. Both the initialization is equally valid but does not clearly illustrate to another programmer where one row ends and another begins. Another example is the integer, that is VAL of the size 1 is 3, size 2 is 4. That is, this element is in the position of the variable VAL 0, 0. This one is 0, 1. This one is 0, 2. Then 0, 3. This one is 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. This one is 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2 and 2, 3. In this way, initialization start with this element and end by this element. The next one is an unsized array initialization. If unsized arrays are declared, the C compiler automatically creates an array big enough to hold all the initializers. This is called an unsized array. The following is an example of declaration or initialization. This program illustrates the size 1 is not mentioned. That is, the size is not mentioned in this array. So it is an unsized array. The next one is an accessing multidimensional arrays. The elements of a multidimensional array are stored in a block of computer memory. In scanning this block from its start to its end, the order of storage is such that the last subscript of the array varies most rapidly, whereas the first varies least rapidly. The next one is an working with two-dimensional arrays. The most important application of the two-dimensional array is with a matrix. A matrix is defined as an ordered rectangular array of numbers. They can be used to represent systems of linear equations. Then transpose of a matrix. The transpose of a matrix is found by exchanging rows for columns. That is, for matrix A equals A subscript ij, the transpose of A is A to the power of t, that is A transpose, which equals A to the subscript of ji, where I is the row number and j is the column number. The transpose of a matrix A would be given by A with some numbers. Here the rows are replaced by columns. In case of a square matrix, that is M is equal to N, the transpose can be used to check if a matrix is symmetric. For a symmetric matrix, A which is equal to A transpose of a matrix. The next one is the matrix addition and subtraction. First we discuss about matrix addition. The two matrices A and B can be added or subtracted if and only if their dimensions are same. That is, both matrices have an identical amount of rows and columns. Here, in addition, the sum is found by adding the corresponding elements, that is Aij plus Bij. Here in subtraction, the difference is found by subtracting the corresponding elements Aij minus Bij, provided the matrices are of the same type. This program illustrates matrix addition. In this program we define the header files, then we define the symbolic constants, that is the row and the column. First of all, we are getting the row 1 elements, then column 1 elements, then row 2 elements and the column 2 elements. After that, if row 1 equals row 2 and column 1 equals column 2, then addition is possible. If it is not equal, then addition is not possible in this case. Matrix subtraction is created in a similar way, just like addition. The next one is a matrix multiplication. Here, when the number of columns of the first matrix is the same as the number of rows in the second matrix, then matrix multiplication can be performed. Here is an example. The matrix multiplication for 2 cross 2 matrices. Then here is an example for 3 cross 3 matrices. Matrix multiplication is illustrated in this program. Here the same as we are getting the row elements and the column elements. When the number of columns of the first matrix is the same as the number of rows in the second matrix, then matrix multiplication can be performed. Otherwise, matrix multiplication is not possible. The next one is finding the norm of a matrix. The norm of a matrix is defined as the square root of the sum of the squares of the elements of the matrix. This is illustrated in this program. The next topic is a two-dimensional array using strings. Declaration of two-dimensional array using strings. A two-dimensional array of strings can be declared as follows: the data type, string array name, row size, and then column size. The example is character is the data type, this is the array name, row size is 5 and column size is 30. Then initialization of an two-dimensional array. using strings. Two-dimensional string arrays can be initialized as shown here. That is, character is the data type, yes is the string array name, 5 is the row size and 10 is the column size, which equals the parenthesis, open parenthesis, within double quotes, that is CWO, that is cow, then the double quote is closed, then comma goat, then comma ram, comma dog, comma cat, then closed parenthesis, which is equivalent to this thing. Every row is a string, that is s of I is a string here. The below the two lines are, these type of declarations are invalid one. This program demonstrates how an individual string of an array of strings can be used to take input from the user. As mentioned before, each row, that is s of I, if s is the array of strings of an array of strings, is a string. The another program, that is program 2, checks whether the number is odd or even without using any control statement. Finally, I hope you understand the concepts of arrays and strings in C programming. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.